Hello and welcome to the Jeff Ahern Show. As always, broadcasting live every Friday at, I got to think about this for a second, 10, I was going to say p.m., 10 a.m. Pacific time. How about that? If you haven't already, please follow me on jeffahern.com where you can get my news of the week. I'm also on TikTok, but as you all probably well aware, that's might be going away, which I'm fine with because they censor the heck out of me. So whatever, big deal. Good riddance. And I say that kind of not jokingly. It's very frustrating. But check me out also on Rumble. And ideally, again, jeffahern.com. But Rumble's been very good to me. So thank you to Rumble for that. But let's get right into the news, see what's going on. I'm going to start off with Fox News here. And it's classic Democrats right now. Government control. Government needs to control everything. They need to control, whether you get shots, where you work, what you do, how much you get paid, how much you get that. It's all about just this massive government overreach, just choking the life out of you, pretty much. And so they know that a well-educated citizen, is the enemy to that. But the bad news is for them, parents are starting to fight back. So we've got in the news, Democrats draw a line in the sand over whether parents should have a say in their kids' education, which it's preposterous. So first of all, Democrats are under the illusion that these are their kids. They're our kids. We should be able to decide what we get to do with our kids, what they, have some say at least. But what the Democrats have created through the school system is essentially indoctrination factories, and they don't want anyone messing around with them. They've been very successful. Look at Portland. Oh my God, that's it. That city's off the rails. I mean, as bad as San Francisco is, I feel like Portland is the worst run city in the entire country because it's the left runs it, like the far left runs it. I mean, there's no common sense. It's insanity. It's the Wild West out there without cool cowboys and horses. What's that, Mark here? Oh, Mark noticed. Yes, I did. I'm endorsing Highland Park. Before I tear off on this, Kamala's going to hang out in Africa, Mark says also. Well, Kamala's trying to get out of town because her approval ratings in the toilet. I'm going to talk about that later. It's actually lower than Joe Biden. So she's just like, this is a duck and hide tour she's on in Africa right now. But so Highland Park is amazing. I love Highland Park. This is Highland Park 25, which it's my favorite distillery. I actually went there. Side note, and if you've followed the show, you probably know this because I did some of my telecasts from the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh. And I think it might have even been in Orkney one of those days at the distillery. So yeah, Highland Park forever. All right, back in. Camera's just a plug on that. Parents' Bill of Rights wins 0 votes from Democrats. So 0 Democrats voted for parents to have any say in what's going on in the schools to teach their kids. 0 say in what their kids are taught. 0 say in getting to see whether teachers are want them to change their pronouns. 0 say to see if teachers are actively trying to get them into a trans, to become trans. Can the kids just be kids? I mean, you got these 5-year-olds, you got kindergartners that are already getting these transition books. Hey, transitioning's fun. They're kindergartners. Let them grow up. You have 12, 13, 14-year-old kids who've been transitioned, who are now 18, 19, 20, and regret it. And because they were at an age when they never should have been allowed to do it. They're 13. I wouldn't let my kid do anything. They're not anything serious. I mean, you want to go play with your friends, ride your bike. Okay, that's kid stuff. But I'm gonna lop off this or attach this. No, what? Here's a erector set. Here's a science kit. Play with that. Your body is not the science kit. Jesus. Sorry. So the bill is the GOP's response to the growing anger about the lack of access to school information across the nation. Yeah, and it's intentional. It's completely intentional. The left controls the schools sadly in most states because it was one of those things. It's like a sleeper. No one really noticed it was happening, but it was happening. And what better place to make sure you have voters for a lifetime than when you can indoctrinate them at a very young age. And so they don't want anyone getting in the way of that. They don't want anyone getting in the way of these indoctrination factories. And thank God, in a way, for COVID, because COVID opened parents' eyes. Parents were home now. They weren't working. They became more involved in the schools. They started watching Zoom sessions. They started watching what their kids were being taught. And it wasn't the A, B's, and C's. CRT, transitioning, is a hobby. It just, that's what was going on. And so they're PO'd about it. I don't blame them. And now you've got, well, they were domestic terrorists for a while. Remember that? Remember when the Biden administration sicked the FBI on them at these student meetings where the parents, all they're trying to do is fight for their rights of their own children, but the government feels they own their children. And that's what's going on here. The government feels they own your kids and they can do whatever they want to them because they know best, because the government always knows best, right? That's what happens in totalitarian regimes. Back in Maoist China, that didn't work well. A lot of people died. There's a big famine. Don't leave out any facts. Yeah. Anyway, so the GOP's response to the bill, growing anger, is to just basically give parents a say, to let them know what's going on in the schools. And I see nothing wrong with that. You know what schools are good schools? And it's pretty straightforward. Schools where parents are actively involved. If you have a school and then the parents really don't care, good luck. It's going to be a crap school. If you have a school where parents are actively involved and concerned about what's being taught to their kids and concerned that their kids are actually being taught something, that is a good school system. This is why I love magnet schools. This is why I like charter schools, because in order to get in, parents, it's not just like parents go, oh, what school are you going to? Okay, have a nice day. And the kid goes off. No, parents have to actively be like, okay, I want my kid to go to a good school. They have to select a school. They probably have to fill out some paperwork. They got a lottery in. So, the parents who are sending their kids to these schools are generally more actively involved in or concerned with the education of their child than a parent who say isn't, unless you're just lucky and have a great school district. You're like, oh, this is a great school district. No big deal. That's not the case for a lot of places, especially minority communities, which is why I think there should be more charter schools there. But of course, public education, DNC, teachers union don't want that because, again, it messes up their whole indoctrination. These schools are focused on educating the kids, not indoctrinating them, and they're doing a hell of a better job on educating. Not so good on indoctrinating, which I'm fine with. So wait, Mark, you thought school boards are nonpartisan? Oh, come on. School boards are nonpartisan. Come on. Stop. Just stop. They're so partisan. The fix is in, Mark. The fix is in. I'll tell you what. There was one thing I wanted to read to you because it was just so absurd. I'm not sure if I could find it. I may have to move on. I should have bookmarked it or something. I'm still learning how to do all this stuff sometimes. Democrats blasted the bill. Why would you blast a bill where all the parents want to do is find out what's happening with their kids, where they want to be involved in the school? Why would you blast a bill like that? What possible reason would you have to blast a bill like that? Because it messes up with your plans, messes up with your indoctrination, messes up with what you believe the purpose of schools is, which is to create registered Democrats, not well-educated adults. And that's it. So you're mad about it. Sorry, we're on to you. The cover's been lifted. We're all going to take a look under the hood now, see what the hell's going on. The bill, says the bill does not address students. Yeah, I can't find, I'm going to go on because I can't find the blur, but basically I can kind of remember. Oh, here it is. I just found it. So this is a quote. It says extreme. I'm just saying it like I imagine the person would say it as it's written. Extreme MAGA Republicans don't want the children of America to learn about the Holocaust, accused House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. The stupidity of that statement. I mean, I just had to read it because it just struck me as so stupid. Like Republicans like, yeah, we don't want the kids to know about the Holocaust. What? It's the left. Incite anger. Like, listen, do you see what they're doing? They're not doing that. That's absurd. It's so stupid. But yet there's Democrats who are like, oh, what? No, there's nothing to do with that. And then so I read further because you're always like, oh, well, that's it. You see, that's just the. Give me a break. They want to ban, by the way, Democrats didn't want the capital of Israel in Jerusalem. Anyway, they want to ban a book called Melissa. This is the Republicans. They want to ban this book about the experience of a trans girl beginning to understand her identity. Okay, so Holocaust and this girl, Melissa. It just, to me, it just sounds like let's do a story where we can, again, like with the kindergartners trying to get you to join the trans community at 5 or 6. If we can get that in, let's put it in a Holocaust book. So if anyone gives us any crap, we'll be like, hey, you hate the Holocaust. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid. All right, I got to jump out of this and do so. Oh my God, Mark, you've been burning up the lines here. Editorial. Mark's even got money in this one. Editorial: how the GOP banished a nonpartisan school board opponent for just $1,500. Well, that's a bargain, Mark. I feel like that's a bargain. You can banish someone for $1,500. It's a good deal. Hey, I'm in favor of nonpartisan. I like nonpartisan. So if this was, I don't know anything about what you're talking about right here, but I'll say I don't approve of banning anyone based on their opinions. You're entitled to have your opinions, but if you're a nut job, you got to go. So if he's a nonpartisan nut job, I'm okay with him being thrown off. And 1,500, that's a bargain. What did he just take $1,500? You go, hey, here's $1,500 if you quit. How do you ban someone for $1,500? It's a good deal. All right, look at the top of one of the state. Okay, I'm so far behind you now, Mark. You got so much stuff here. The goal of having a nonpartisan elections, I like nonpartisan, Mark. Elections is not to remove all politics from governing, but rather to remove a conflict point that keeps it's like a thesis paper, Mark, keeps the school board from doing its job. It comes down to conflict on a government board is productive when it leads to informed debate. So you want conflict on the board? I'm okay. Why don't we just say, instead of conflict, why does it have to be conflict? Why don't we just say discussion, disagreement? Trying to putting the kids' best. There's the thing. Let's put the kids' best interests at heart. Let that be the focal point. And then if we're going to fight about stuff, let's fight about how to achieve that. And there he is.
Yeah, I had to mess with you because you said that school boards are nonpartisan. So that's what I was trying to get you to. But it says that
I think they're bipartisan.
And the District of Columbia, state law requires nonpartisan elections for school boards.
Come on,
they say the laws in 4 states, Alabama, Connecticut, Louisiana, and with some exceptions, Pennsylvania, automatically allow partisan school board elections. So technically, the school board is supposed to be nonpartisan.
Yeah, I would hope that it would be nonpartisan. But I mean, just because they say, oh, this is a nonpartisan board, it doesn't mean it's nonpartisan. It just means that's what they wrote down on some piece of paper. But yeah, in a perfect world, it's nonpartisan. But
it means that they're not supposed to say whether they're Democratic or Republican. Now, if they choose to tell their folks what party they are, that's on them. But they're not supposed to reveal that whatsoever.
Well, I think the cat's out of the bag there, Mark. So, what do you think? Do you like the parents not knowing what's happening in the schools? You a fan?
No, I mean parents definitely need to know what's happening in the schools. I know that my brothers takes an interest, as does my dad, as to what is being taught in the schools. But I also think that there can be the ability for folks to learn different things, including parts of history that may not always be taught, which is what becomes an issue around some of the books that are banned. And I'm not a fan of Mark Twain books being banned, but I'm also not a fan of Catcher in the Rye being banned, or some of the other books that people might consider liberal or that have different politics and all in that space. So, but there you got some folks that cherry pick what books they want to ban.
Yeah, I don't think I don't want to say any book should be banned, but I feel like classic literature is still classic literature. It was just determined to be that way for a reason. And I don't think you cut it out just because it was written in a different time, or that's the time it was written in, so it's appropriate to whatever time that is. You don't ban that book.
Yeah, but you got some people that want to ban books because they mention Sojourner Truth or Harriet Tubman or even
who's banning Harriet Tubman?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I've seen some of the
I'd be very surprised.
You'd be surprised at some of the books that have been.
I think you made that up. Come on, isn't that like some deep South school somewhere, like with 3 students, and they're like, no more Harriet Tubman.
No more Harriet Tubman, no more Sojourner Truth. Now, there's a couple of books that you'll probably be surprised at they're being banned because they're not always books that are quote unquote from the left or even the right. Sometimes they're in the middle. Sometimes they're just weird books that folks are like, I don't like that book. So, and a lot of it
Dr. Seuss. Like, look at the White House banning Dr. Seuss. What?
Well, it's my understanding that they need to ban something else other than Dr. Seuss in the White House, because I was talking to a guest recently on one of my shows and everything, and he was reminding me that the White House has a problem that is probably not a Democratic problem, not a Republican problem, but I do think that Sachs was very happy when it was discovered about this problem, because believe it or not, for decades now, and apparently it's not a well-kept secret, and that's why I mentioned Sachs. You remember Sachs was the Clintons' first cat and all in that space. I think that's what they call those animals, first pet, first cat, first dog, or whatever. Right. But apparently there is a whole bunch, and I'm not just talking about the walking variety that are in there and Senate and run and working in the different offices of the White House, be they Republicans or Democrats. But apparently that little critter, the rat, is also running all over the White House, and apparently it is not a unknown fact, because I've had some
We're back. Yeah, so I think there's a rat running around the White House right now.
Hey, like I said, I wasn't talking about the big kind, because the big kind and the little kind,
Did
and
you say the
there might
big
be
guy?
one.
Did you say
I
the
said the
big
big
guy?
guy, the big kind. But
Oh,
I'm
I
saying
thought
that
you said big
there are
guy
some
like
of those
Joe, like Joe Biden,
that
China, big guy.
there's some of those that are
Big
both Republican and Democrat. But I'm gonna let you get back to your it's comedy and
guy.
fun and everything. But I'm just saying that there are a variety of them of both sorts and all in that space. But I'm gonna let you get back to doing what you do so well, which
Before
is
you,
making me laugh.
oh, good. Well, and by the way, check out the Harriet Tubman book, everybody. I'm sure it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not even being facetious. It probably is pretty good. All right, Mark. Thanks, buddy.
No problem. Give it a bounce off as soon as I can find the bouncing off button
Oh,
and
no
everything. But
worries.
just keep.
So yeah, Mark keeps me honest. Yeah. So and I appreciate that, Mark. So okay. So let me see. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave it because it's just too much words, Mark, for me. We already just talked about it. So we'll keep going on the White House. On Fox. So let's see what's going on. So we're talking about that. We're talking about the school boards. I am 100% in favor of not banning things. And I'm 100% in favor of parents being actively involved in the school and having a say about what happens to their own kids while they're not in their home. They're their kids. They're not the government's kids. And that's what makes me crazy. The Democrats treat them like they're their kids, like they're the party's children. And they're not. They're mine. They're your whoever is the parents of the kid. All right. So there's a AOC crabbing about something. AOC goes. She just stands up. She crabs about something. She sits down. That's pretty much how I would describe an AOC speech. AOC accused of misleading Americans about children hysterectomies on the House floor. Oh, jeez, hysterectomy for a kid. God help us. That sounds like AOC though. It's not like I'm going to be like, oh no way, not AOC. She would. Oh no, yeah, she would totally be into that. For I don't know, woke politics, I guess. Okay, I'm going to go to the New York Post. I'm going to check out the Post and just see. Oh, Gwyneth Paltrow is still being sued. I don't know. I don't really trust. I don't like Gwyneth Paltrow particularly, but the guy who's suing her, he seems kind of shifty too. So it's kind of like I don't have a horse in the race, so to speak. I'm not a fan of either. DeSantis, weight loss, Sanders. Let's go to NY Post and see what they got for me. Biden blamed for tossing aside bid to save retired Americans money. That doesn't surprise me. Well, if it gets in the way of any sort of woke politics or agenda, Biden will throw you to the curb. Yes, people used to work on the Keystone Pipeline. I'm still looking for jobs. All right, let's go to the New York Post. Thanks, Joe. By the way, my gas is now $5 a gallon, so it's going up again. But green energy. Okay, we got Trump here holding a bat like he's Capone. I don't know. Post is not. I guess is pro DeSantis. I'm just gonna guess from the picture of Trump holding a bat, and there's a picture of Alvin Bragg, who, by the way, one of the worst DAs out there. Chesa Boudin was my all-time least favorite DA. And then it's he's been recalled by San Francisco. Even they got tired of him. And my current least two favorite DAs are my Los Angeles' own Gascon. Who cares how you pronounce it? He's terrible. And then, of course, Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg is the worst. New York is a mess. No cash bail is ruining everything. You've got him. What was it? I just did a story on it. 50% of the felonies he reduced to misdemeanors. 50% of the felonies he couldn't convict on. I mean, he's not trying. So what's he doing? Oh, hey, pay no attention to the cesspool shooting gallery stab pit over here we call New York. I'm going for Trump. So this one says, Trump posts pic holding baseball bat near DA's head, warns of death and destruction if he's indicted in hush money case. Okay. Not the best. Trump's going to be Trump. It's not I wouldn't call it the best PR stunt in the world. I really think, and I don't know what's going to happen with it, and Trump's going to always do his own thing. But I feel if he is indicted, if this does happen, it benefits Trump. I think it swells support for him. So I don't know if anyone realizes that. I mean, I feel like some people do, but I don't know if Trump does, and I'm not sure Bragg does. But we'll see what happens there. New York Dems propose this is all on the Post. New York Dems propose, when aren't they proposing a new tax? 4% tax on Netflix and Uber to fund the, you're going to, all right, what? It doesn't make sense. What? That's, what? You're just going to randomly pick companies to raise taxes on? Just Netflix and Uber. They're pretty successful. Let's just tack on 4% there and another 4%. First of all, Uber or Lyft or whatever, that's all going to get passed on to the drivers. They're either going to lower their earnings, or they're going to raise the percentage that the Uber keeps on then none of that is going to be paid by Uber, the corporate. That's all going to affect the drivers who are now struggling to survive because of all these great woke changes that were done, to help them. None of it helped them. Uber drivers used to make a decent living. You could do pretty well as an Uber driver. Now, then they came in with all these new rules, all these new taxes, all this and that, and now they're squeezing them. Uber corporate is squeezing them because they don't want to pay. Anytime they get taxed or the government mandates something else that costs them money, it gets passed right on to the driver. If you don't think so, you're a fool. And Netflix, well, they'll just raise your subscription rate a little. To fund the MTA. How about you make the MTA safe? Why don't you fund cops on the MTA? If that's what you're doing, maybe I'm okay with the taxes. Mark says at the mountain base. What mountain base? What? It sounds like I'm transitioning. Like, meanwhile, at the mountain base.
No, that was a list of the books that they banned in a part of Florida. One of them was At the Mountain Base, but one of them was called Before She Was Harriet, which was about Harriet Tubman. So there was a whole book about
the mountain base. Is that like a clubhouse? What the hell's the mountain base?
That's the name of one of the books that they banned. They also banned one called Chick Chick Shabbat. They also banned one called Cow on the Town, practicing the owl sound. And they also banned something called
these books, Mark.
Fried Bread, A Native American Family Story, and The Gift of Ramadan. So those are books that got banned along with
by who? Who banned them?
This was in Florida. I want to say that this was Doville County. So it was an area.
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna stay. I don't know if I'm gonna die on the hill for protecting the owl sound.
You don't want to protect this. The owl
I don't know
sound?
what it is. I've never read it. Maybe it's good. It could be like a wonderful piece of literature. I don't know. It just sounds
some of the other titles I'm seeing are Ashes to Asheville, Barbed Wire Baseball, How One Man Brought Hope to the Japanese Investment Camp of World War II, and Amina's Voice, which is banned, Alma and How She Got Her Name, All Around Us, 14 Cows for America. Apparently they don't like cows either over there. Running the Road to ABC, Never Say a Mean Word Again, A Tale from Medieval Spain, and Love to Mama, A Tribute to Mothers, Lost and Found Cat, and like I was saying to you earlier, and Dumpling Soup, Chick Chack Shabbat, Cow on the Town, Practicing the Owl Sound. That is literally the name of the book.
That's the weird one that I was like, what
and the Mountain Base, and Before She's Harriet. I'm still trying to figure out why and what you want to ban the Bernstein Bears, because apparently
I read that. I think out of all those, and I respect for Harriet Tubman, but I'm most upset about the Bernstein Bears. What the hell did they do to anyone? That's like banning Dr. Seuss.
Yeah,
like
what did the Bernstein Bears do?
Because I don't know. I disagree with all that. Like that's way too long a list to be banning in the first place. And
they've got the list. The list goes on. They even banned a book about Roberto Clemente, pride of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Well, it's Florida. Maybe they're they're Marlins fans. I can get that. It's like shouldn't they have a book about some famous Marlin player?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. They were like, we got to have a book
like,
about
it. Why are we promoting the Pittsburgh Pirates? We got our own team.
We got our own team, so we need to promote our own team and all along.
Let's promote from within. I'm most upset. All those books, Roberto Clemente, okay, that'd probably be interesting read. The Bernstein Bears, I would want that back.
Yeah,
Harriet Tubman. And the
rest, you probably want back. There's a whole list. That's only a very partial list that they gave. It's like I think 176 books that they targeted. But I do have to teach you before I bounce out. And this is a world issue and everything, because apparently folks are very much excited about Prince Andrews, because Prince Andrews is taking a stand. We know we love our royals and everything.
The pedophile Prince Andrew?
Yeah, that would. Prince Andrews is taking a stand because, one, he's taking a stand for Ukraine. So he's saying that, he's backing the Ukrainian war, but he is also taking a stand because apparently he appeared at a LGBT friendly club or restaurant in Poland, and it was saying that, that Poland needed to do more for the rights of the LGBTQ community, because apparently they are very repressive in the way that they treat that community. So he was going to take a stand and
why are you in the Prince Andrew fan club all of a sudden?
I'm not in the Prince Andrews fan club. I'm just saying what he said. I'm wondering what you.
Oh,
I'm not even a royal. I'm not even a big fan of the Royals, but I was just wondering your thoughts.
Prince Andrew, I mean, from everything I've read, is a pedo, allegedly, big Epstein dude. And there's like, they're the only ones. He's the only one I feel like they've literally just pointed the finger at him and been like, yeah, okay, this guy, we'll give you this guy. Don't ask us for the rest of the list. Okay. Where's the rest of that list? Anyways, I don't think
did they ever find, and we'll bounce off again, let you do what you do, but did they ever find the list of the madam? There was a madam.
They have it. I get they absolutely have that list, and they won't release it.
But are they doing anything with the list other than
hiding it? That's what they're doing with the list. They give you Prince Andrew. That's what you get.
That's not even Epstein. I'm talking about the madam that was, I think she was in Nevada. How many people are in that book that are in power of both parties?
God, I don't know. I didn't even know about Heidi Fleiss. You talking about? Who are you talking about?
That's what I'm talking about, dude. Yeah, the madam that had the book, then they never did release the book. And I thought it was a
yeah. She got paid. If she's not dead, if she didn't get suicided, then she got paid. Like, don't put out the book. We'll give you X million dollars or whatever.
And don't release the names, whatever you do.
Yeah. That's what happened. Yeah. She just got scared. We'll kill you. They'll either paid her or threatened to kill her. One of those two things, One
of the two.
That's how it works.
That's the way it works. Well, I'm gone again. I just had to teach you about the book.
No, that's a lot of books, and sadly, I don't know if it's just because I don't know. I'm almost more upset about the Bernstein Bears and Harriet Tubman. But I feel like if you had a choice of reading about one of the two, your kid, go with Harriet Tubman, then follow up Bernstein Bears. Little sugar at the end of it. And Harriet Tubman, that should not be banned. All those books. That's just that's a group with too much time on their hands. If you can come up with whatever Mark said, I think 170 some books that you want to ban, you got too much time on your hand. You need a different hobby. All right. So tipped off. Oh, this is a waitress story. I guess it's about tips since it says tipped off. I'm a New York City waitress and I have a message for tourists who think they know how to tip. Come on, Post. That's a story. She's an attractive looking blonde. So I feel like one of the reporters like, hey, if you go out with me Friday night, I'll write a story about you. We'll just come up with any old crap. I'm a New York City waitress and I have a message for that's a story that didn't need it. That I wouldn't ban it though, Mark, but I don't think I'd make it a centerpiece of my newspaper. Getting away with it. Murdaugh. Well, Murdaugh didn't get away with it, but his son kind of did. So yeah, I actually read this one a little bit before. And it's awful. The whole Murdaugh family is just a train wreck of apparently murderers and felons. I mean, I feel like, I hate to say that, at least some of them are for sure the dad. And it's appearing like the son now, the living son is also so. The fact that and an incredible, they're this powerful family. And basically they have a corrupt enough corrupt people in the government there to let them get away with this. So what happened was this young kid, this young kid gets shot in the head. Basically, I think it said over the eyebrow he was shot, and he's left in a road. And he's clearly like every officer who comes in on the scene and sees it is like, oh well, this is a homicide. It's all consistent with a homicide. This is obviously not some hit and run. I mean, maybe he got hit after the fact just to try and cover it up. I mean, that's what they're trying to make it look like, but it was obviously a homicide. All the cops who saw it, homicide. So he goes to the coroner for the autopsy, and the coroner goes, no, hit and run. There's a bullet in his head. There's a bullet hole. Hit and run. Okay. So this coroner is either the worst coroner on the history of the planet, or is incredibly corrupt, vile, disgusting human being who, for whatever the price was, decided that this kid's murder was never going to be solved, or at least it was going to make it harder. And props to the sheriff, or maybe not the sheriff, but I don't know about the case yet, but she was let go after her autopsy said it was a hit and run. But essentially, this whole thing was just kind of and went away. The mom was obviously very upset and trying to get people to investigate it further. Now that the father has been determined to be a homicidal maniac. I don't even have to say allegedly anymore. And now this is all coming to light. And so the dad's gone. Now everyone's looking around going, maybe we should actually do something moral for a change instead of just doing the bidding of this corrupt, family with a lot of power in town. Why don't we make it so we solve this kid's murder instead of declaring it a hit and run? So it's, I don't know who did it, but it's pointing towards the son of Murtaugh, which is not a far stretch. Even looks like him. It's laugh or cry. It's laugh or cry, really. Okay, so what? Okay. Oh, what? How many? There was a story about a runaway zebra in California. Okay, where'd it go? It was LA Zoo zebra. I like the LA Zoo zebras. I visit them. Oh, it's in Seoul, South Korea. Okay, well that's different. I've never been to that zoo. Zebra's name was Sero. Probably probably bad at his name. Sero. Yeah. He was on the run for 3 years. So a zebra took off in South Korea. Yeah, it wouldn't have happened in North Korea because that zebra would have been eaten, years ago. That's not nice. It's true. It's true though. That people there are literally starving to death because they embraced communism, and as with all communist regimes, a couple people on top, eventually just one, exert absolute control over a nation, and whatever their little lunatic minds want to do, they do, and everybody else suffers for it. Which is why we don't want it here. AOC, the rest of the Democrats these days. Okay, I think we're kind of starting to run out of steam here, but this is just a silly one, but I love it. So I just will talk about this too. Lowering the bar. So Kim Kardashian, Instagram lady. Why am I introducing Kim Kardashian like you don't know who she is? But she went to this St. Patrick's Day tour where she's like, look at me, I'm a regular person enjoying a Guinness Stout. I like Guinness Stout and I'm at a bar. But then they show all these pictures of her like with the camera crew and another camera crew and the lighting. It's like, the people at the bar, like, can we go someplace else? I mean, okay, there's Kim Kardashian, take a couple pictures, but this is really ruining the vibe, because bar, you don't want a bright bar. You don't want, it's a bar. You don't want to, I'd rather have it too dark than too bright. It's a bar. Okay. If it's too bright, it's last call. That's not, they try and get you. That's how they get you out. They turn the lights way up. They got, not only do they have the regular lights up full blast, but they got the spot. It's all a dog and pony show. And if you follow the Kardashians, then you just admit to yourself it's scripted, okay? None of this is real. It's all scripted. If you enjoy it, good. Enjoy what you like. But it's just, it's absurd. All right. Let me check out Yahoo, liberal Yahoo. House Republicans pass Parents' Bill of Rights. Well, they didn't put anything like weird, like horrible House Republicans or evil House Republicans. So, thanks Yahoo for giving a relatively upfront banner headline. But let's read further and see if they throw any more gas on the fire. So, House Republicans passed Parents' Bill of Rights. We talked about this. House Republicans passed an education bill that emphasizes parental rights in the classroom and school libraries, leaning into a hot button culture war issue. Okay. So they're trying to get you, what's the hot button culture war issue? I better press on that. Find out more. I guess they're finding out that when they just blatantly put up a false banner headline, no one clicks in. But if you're not sure what they're talking about, you might be like, oh, let me check out what's going on. So, hey, you learned some psychology there, Yahoo. Congratulations. Let's try CNN. Because it's Trump. Oh, when will they indict Trump? Oh, Trump needs to go to jail. Oh, Trump. Oh, no Trump? Come on, give me a break. I built all that Trump up, and then there's nothing on Trump here. They have an Alzheimer's story is the first one. Okay. So is it a Biden story? Too easy. Alzheimer's first signs may appear in your eyes. These are the thing, like all these things, and this is not a CNN, this is everywhere, but it's like, Alzheimer's, signs you have Alzheimer's, felt in the wrist, your one leg slightly longer than your other, then it's Alzheimer's sign, your hair parts in a weird way on a Saturday night. I don't think they know what they're talking about. Really, they're just throwing slop at the wall. This is an Alzheimer's, they don't know. And I say that because every time they say this is a sign, then there's next week there's some other sign, and they do that. They do it for everything. You already got no credibility. Why don't you should tone it down a little, ESPN? But I'll read what it says here. The eyes are more than a window to the soul. Oh, hey, poetry. New research suggests they're also a reflection of a person's cognitive health. Well, let's take a look at Joe Biden's eyes. Okay. Few people have ever finished the Barkley Marathon. All right. So I guess this guy did. Good for him. Tapper sits down with Ted Lasso star Jason. Who cares? Wow, this is a dud day for you, CNN. I mean, I should be happy. The fact that you don't have a Trump story up is shocking to me. Or maybe they're not indicting him. But they don't really do like news much, like actual news, because it's never good for Democrats, so they can't really cover it. So all they really can have is like a January 6th story, and then like a bash Trump story, and then that's it. Interesting though. Interesting, CNN. I'm confused. I'm perplexed by your banner headlines today. Kremlin, and not in a bad way. I mean, it's better than what you usually put out. Kremlin, critically important to identify objects discovered next to Nord Stream pipelines. They're trying to figure out who bombed who. Okay. All right, so there's not much there as well. But I had a great time today. I gotta head off. Thank you, Mark, as always. Let me read what some of you wrote here. I hope they catch that zebra.
We gotta catch the zebra. Like I said, and they did catch the zebra. The zebra's back in zebra zoo and everything. But I was just too busy having fun with the zebra's name. I thought you were gonna have a run with that.
I couldn't understand. His name was
Zero, which sounds like a zero. So I mean, that's probably why he ran away. I mean. Would you want to be called Zero?
Yeah, he's got self-esteem issues. He wants to go someplace where he'll be number one. Nobody wants to be zero.
He doesn't want to be zero. He wants to be number one. He's like, why y'all call me Zero?
You got like a little plus. Zero was a kamikaze pilot back in the day in Japan. Yes. So it was like, what the hell?
He's not a happy camper. Your friends that do those little vignettes, they would have a field day with this. I was looking for you to have a vignette. Yeah,
Zero it's a poor choice, but yeah, thank God at least he lives in South Korea, because again, he would not be alive in the north. Those zoo animals are gone.
I think that's what he was trying to do. Let's be honest. But I was also picking on the pharmacy industry, because you were talking about that Alzheimer's study. And I think they're too busy stealing our money. So
they are too busy stealing our money. And I didn't bring this up. The Biden administration wants to go in and save Moderna, because I guess Moderna stole 2 patents allegedly, and is now being sued by these pharmaceutical companies who they stole it from allegedly, and they're probably gonna have to pay. So Biden administration's like, let us cover it.
We're gonna cover it.
No, let them. They got billions of dollars. They're mandating vaccines, or booster shots and all that. They're charging hundreds of dollars. Let them pay it. Why am I paying? Why are you paying it?
I don't know why we're paying it, but we're gonna bounce off and everything. But I personally think that Zero was trying to make its way in Seoul to the docks, because Zero was going to try to make it to the United States, where it was going to be becoming either number 1 or number 2 or number 3 or whatever other number was going to be.
Any number's better than 0.
Yes, it was trying to make its way to the United States. It was trying to be one of our latest immigrants. It was trying to make an escape to the United States.
Come in through the southern border, man. No one's even going to stop you. Just get yourself to Mexico and trot across. We'll even give you a cell phone.
Give them a cell phone, but not only that, and not to pick on other ethnicities, but I do think that in Mexico there's a decent amount of mules, both the drug mules as well as the regular mules. And there's some people out in the world that would not know the difference between a zebra and a mule, even though the zebra has stripes and everything. So it probably could walk across the border and not even be recognized. It probably just walk right across.
It's a burro. It's just a very colorful burro.
That's it.
All right, Mark, I'm gonna take off, but great hanging out with you. Great talking to you.
Good talking to you as well. I think I'm gonna play one of those little vignettes that I was talking about. It's one that we played before and everything, but I think I'm gonna try one of those to get us both out of here and all in that space. So I think we're gonna have the one with Mando. So I think we'll go out with Mando and everything, riding in the car with Mando, and maybe Mando is now a zebra. But let's get out of here with riding in the car with Mando.
All right, thanks, Mark. Have a great week, buddy.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Skipping through the end times.
Well, maybe Tesla should have tried a bit harder. Well, it's hard to go against the corporate power of Westinghouse. Hey, look, a hitcher! You don't see that much anymore.
Pick him up!
What? Have you seen any movie ever? He looks pretty shiny.
Dude! It's the Mandalorian!
Oh, God.
Hey!
Hello.
Where you headed?
North. Up Petaluma way.
Oh, well, hop in!
I appreciate you stopping.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, how could we deny such a prestigious bounty hunter?
This is the way.
Oh, Dave, it's a lift up here. So what are you doing up in Petaluma?
Meeting some friends at a brewery.
Oh, sweet. Care if we tag along? I'm just kidding. We'd never invite ourselves. But, seriously, if you did, we know some pretty good spots.
Hey, I have a question.
Dude, don't mess this up.
Yeah?
In Season 1, Episode 6, when you had Baby Yoda...
Grogu.
Yeah, sure, Grogu. Why did you have him crawl into the Razor Crest hole to fix a complex electrical issue? Being his father figure, don't you feel just a little bit negligent risking his life like that?
Well, we were stuck and it needed fixing.
Lucky those X-Wing pilots happened to show up, huh? Anyway...
Right. Which brings me to a much larger issue.
Dave, please. So, what was it like meeting Luke, huh?
Honestly, your complete incompetence when it comes to being a bounty hunter.
Oh, God.
Like, you have zero business sense. And let's be real, you're pretty terrible at fighting. You're essentially just moving from one blunder to the next, each time miraculously being saved by some force of sheer luck. And morally, you're kind of meh. So, all in all, kind of borderline unlikable, dude.
Okay, well...
Oh, don't mind him, Mr. Mando. He's just still bitter about the whole Last Jedi thing. And the Rise of Skywalker thing, and, and then the entirety of the prequel trilogy thing, and then, Palpatine.
Alright, I get the idea.
But we're so lucky to have you around now. I mean, things are on the up and up. Huh? Ahsoka Tano, Dave, huh? Thrawn, dude.
You're right, dude. I'm sorry to be so harsh on you, Mando.
I'm just gonna get out here.
What? Why?
Yeah, why?
I'm just gonna jetpack the rest of the way. Freaking nerds.
Wow.
So cool. Oh my God.
Well.
Oh, look! It's another hitcher. Here's our chance to make up for it.
Huh, you're right. Hey, is that...
I am Boba Fett.
Hey, OG Trilogy, now we're talking.
Hey, so why do you take your stupid helmet off so much?
Dude. Oh, God, we're totally getting sued.